And you can start anytime.
Okay. Wonderful.
Welcome, you guys, to episode 2 of my podcast, Chasing High Vibes. I am here with my really good friend and soul sister, Frankie. We are going to dive into a topic today that we're both super passionate about. It's what Frankie has also made a career on, and it is your roadmap to wellness. A lot of holistic nutrition, hormone health, the supplements we take, some of the rituals we do, and most importantly, the water that we like and that we choose to drink. So, let's sign you in. What is your sun, moon, and rising sign?
Hello, beautiful people. I'm so happy to be here today. Okay, so my sun, moon, and rising, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Capricorn, I believe, is my rising. But my main is Scorpio in the house, which I think makes us both water signs, right?
Yes, I am a Pisces, a double Leo moon, Leo rising. But your Capricorn is, I think, why you're so driven.
Mm-hmm.
But us water signs, yeah, we are very emotional, go with the flow. My boyfriend's a Scorpio, so I feel like you love music.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It keeps me alive and going on a daily basis.
So how did you start the Well and Wild? And let's kind of give an intro into that.
Yeah, totally. So the Well and Wild has been a community platform for the last 5 years now. I got into health and wellness in my own life from really at a young age, feeling kind of overweight and inflamed and not really understanding why. And I got curious about how to kind of strengthen my own fitness. And I saw that there was a lot of common pollutants and chemicals and toxins and a lot of our daily foods and products that seemed normal and healthy, but really on the underneath they weren't. As I mentioned, I was kind of inflamed as a kid. So my main goal was to lose weight. So I did develop some pretty toxic diet habits and stuff that were more focused around weight loss rather than overall health. And I would jump through crazy hoops to reach different weight loss goals. I feel like a lot of women kind of experience that. I'm not sure if you have.
Yeah, I did the whole intermittent fasting and it worked really well, but it was a yo-yo effect and it totally messed up my hormones.
Totally. So I've come so far in my journey with that. And I do primarily work with women now in wellness, helping them to rebalance their hormones in particular. That's kind of become my niche because there's so much contradictory information out there in the wellness industry. It's hard to know what to believe.
For sure. I think that's why I was so drawn to you. Me and Frankie have been good friends for 5 years now. Mm-hmm. We share a mutual ex-boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And your page, you guys have to follow her at The Well and Wild. She posts some of the most amazing facts and educational topics on holistic nutrition, hormones, and I just love the style of your life and the way you create it. You just got back from Italy, which is my dream. They don't have any parabens or that stuff in their food out there.
Totally. That's such a good point, honestly, because I feel a lot of people in America are super concerned around gluten and stuff like that. And it's really wild because if you know, a classic Italian diet is lots of pasta, wine, cheeses, stuff that you'd hear and think, oh, that's really not that healthy. But there's something about the quality of that food over there that doesn't make you feel as bloated or inflamed after eating it. And it's a much healthier culture over there. So I really admire the way that they live. And I've kind of studied different blue zones around the world. Do you know what blue zones are?
Is that where they don't spray the crops or?
Not necessarily, but yes, that's probably a factor of having different blue zones. But blue zones are areas around the world where the culture has the highest longevity rates.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Costa Rica is one of them.
Exactly. And Japan too. And not only do they have the highest longevity rates, but they're the healthiest up until the day that they die. So they're less likely to suffer from diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff. So in my journey with holistic nutrition, I've become so so curious about like what exactly makes a blue zone a blue zone. And a lot of it, yes, is from exactly what you said. They don't really spray their crops with the same types of pesticides that they do in our culture over here. So there's a healthier soil there, which directly affects our gut microbiome and the food that we eat. And all of those things really play a factor.
So they're not trying to kill people in Italy like they're trying to kill us here. They're trying to kill us. Okay, so what would be like your top 3 topics that you train clients on? I know you have a lot of online workshops and digital courses that you're most passionate about. So like what would be the top 3 on the roadmap to wellness?
That is a good question. And honestly, it's a really important one because it's so important to keep your wellness journey simple. Like this whole world can feel so overwhelming in so many ways. So I've narrowed it down to daily movement, good nutrition, and mindfulness.
Yes.
The trinity of these things together, I feel like kind of are really what, make my approach a little bit more holistic, is the fact that you do take into account the fact that your thoughts like have a physical effect on your body and the food that you eat. Like, I don't care how many kale salads you eat in a day. If you're going around telling yourself how much you hate yourself and how disappointed you are in the way that you act or whatever it is, that's going to mess up your physical body chemistry and create stress hormones in the body. So it's really important to take into account all of those things.
Totally. I think they all go hand in hand. Like the less I move, the less mindful I am. So like my workouts lately have been really helpful and something I look forward to. I just started surfing again, like every day. So that's kind of like my movement. What's yours? I know you're big on yoga.
Okay, first of all, I have to say though, being in the water and surfing is probably one of the healthiest things that you can do too, because in the ocean water, there's lots of negative ions around, and this completely helps us to just like cleanse our body and our system, especially when we're around a lot of technology on a daily basis. Like going into the ocean, or even if you don't have an ocean near you, just like taking your feet out onto the grass every day and just like putting your bare feet on the ground is so good for you. And I feel like will kind of help balance out being around technology so much, which is just inevitably part of our modern world. We can't avoid it, but we can learn how to live with it better.
Totally. Especially being a water sign, like something about being near the ocean, if not even in it, is so calming and grounding. Totally. So I'm like, all right, I just got to get to the beach.
Okay, we'll go surfing together soon. My movement medicine lately has been more of a combination between yoga and like weight training. And I teach a lot of my clients this like method called cycle syncing, which is where essentially you sync like what phase of your cycle you're in with your nutrition, your movement, and even like your cognitive function in your brain. So basically there are certain times of the month when we should be doing like lower impact workouts, like slow flow yoga, maybe going on walks and stuff. This is really good when you're in like your menstruation or your luteal phase. And then once you get to your follicular phase or your ovulatory phase, I try to like pump it up by doing heavier weight training and like more cardio. Your body's like more receptive to different types of workouts throughout the month. And I've witnessed like my physique totally changed just by doing this. And it's crazy because I feel like I've been able to work out less and actually get more fit.
I love that you brought this up because I went down the TikTok rabbit hole like 2 months ago of cycle syncing. Because, like when we run our own business or stuff, it's always like keep up. And I've recently just been learning how to nurture my cycle too, and also understand that we have 4 cycles in a month, not just one. It's not just like, oh, I'm on my menstrual this week. It's like, okay, luteal, follicular. So can you jump into a little bit of that for the listeners who really have no idea about the 4 phases of our monthly cycle?
Yeah, you guys, this is like so essential for us as women to understand. And honestly, you don't know until you know. I don't know why this is like not taught more in our society or like within our cultures and stuff, but it's so important, and everything clicked. Like once I learned this, I was like, oh, like this is the nutritional advice I should be listening to.
Totally.
So throughout the month, our woman's typical cycle is about 28 days. We kind of live more in alignment with the moon in the ways that we're changing on a weekly basis. So our phase 1 is our menstruation phase, which is our period. We're all very aware of when we get our period. And that's the phase that I feel like most of us are most like tapped into.
Totally. Like 5 to 7 days.
Totally. And that's a good time to kind of slow down, go a little bit more inward. Reflection is great during this time. You can kind of like oversee your business, see like what's working, what's not, what sort of changes you can make.
Like no marathon running.
No.
No HIIT workouts.
But like it will literally do the opposite effect. If you go run a marathon or do HIIT training that week, like it will actually put your body into this like state of stress, and you might hold on to more fat than lose it.
Totally.
Because your body's already losing so much. You're losing a lot of iron, your depletion, and the rest of your hormones are just completely releasing. So you need to like replenish more so. So I always notice myself eating more this week, and there's nothing wrong with that. Our body needs more calories during this time. And I totally would consider a nap a workout for the day during my menstruation.
I agree.
And after that, we go into our follicular phase, which is kind of like our inner spring. The way that I like to like think about our each of our phases is by correlating them to a certain season. So I guess I should say that our menstruation is like our inner winter, you know? Then we go into follicular phase, which is kind of like your inner spring. Your hormones start to rise again. You're watering yourself and like growing. So it's a good time to start new projects, and your estrogen levels are beginning to rise during this time. So you kind of can actually do a little bit more higher intensity workouts. And, you know, it's a great time to like ask for a raise in your job or go on a podcast or something like that, you know?
What about nutrition wise?
Okay, so again, the simplest way that I can explain it right now without going super deep, on my website, maybe we can link it in the show notes.
Okay.
I do have a chart that kind of breaks down all of your 4 phases, and it'll show you like what vegetables, legumes, meats, and stuff like that are appropriate for each phase. But for ease of the podcast right now, again, we're going to relate it to the seasons. So like think menstruation, winter foods. You're going to want to eat like sweet potatoes, like a warm stew, something that's like a little bit heavier, like that. Then think follicular phase, go into like a spring meal, something that's like kind of lighter, maybe some fresh flowers, fruits and stuff that are in there, high protein. And then in your ovulation phase, which is like your inner summer, this is when your body is okay to be doing like the most intense workouts and stuff. And you want to be eating more like summer foods. Like it'd be good to do a juice cleanse during this time.
This is kind of when we have the most energy.
Yeah, totally. So a lot of people, like it's easy for us to say like, oh, like we love our like ovulation phase like the most, because that's when you're the most like extroverted, you have the most energy, and
you're
course
glowing.
Like totally. Yeah, you're physically glowing. It's really interesting study was done on women, and they noticed that like men found women in their ovulation phase more attractive.
Totally.
And then during your menstruation, you're like not, because those pheromones aren't really there in the same way. So it's really interesting to witness how like our biology and our like aura kind of changes like throughout the month like this, you know? And then the last phase is like your luteal phase. So that's kind of your inner fall. So you're kind of like going from summer into fall. Your hormones like start to drop during this time. I always tell women to watch that day where you change from your ovulation to your luteal phase like a hawk, because your emotions have the ability to be totally out of whack this day, because your body basically is like mourning the fact that it didn't conceive and have a baby during your ovulation time. It worked really hard for you to get you there, and then you didn't conceive. So then you're kind of like, I almost think of like a mini funeral for yourself, you know?
And we go through this every single month, you guys. No, but in my planner, I got gifted a planner, and it has this. So I've been tracking my cycle too. And I've been so much more aware of how I feel and my emotions, and really
That's good.
keeping track of that. I think that's something we should all do.
Totally. I feel like it just gives us a lot more grace for ourselves. You know, if you can understand like, oh my God, I was feeling emotional today because I just started my luteal phase, like, you know, you can take that deep breath and not feel crazy.
Totally. I love that. I think that's such a huge part of nutrition and knowing your body
Totally. So just to wrap all of that up, I just want to say if anybody is like experiencing an irregular period, or if you have hormonal health issues, if you want to like get off of hormonal birth control, like doing this cycle syncing method is a great place to start to kind of help re-regulate yourself again.
I know, me too. I know both of us don't take birth control. I personally am against birth control because I think it messes up your hormones. But cycle syncing and keeping track of your cycle will let you know when you're ovulating and when you can and can't have unprotected sex. So then you won't even need to be on hormonal birth control.
Totally.
I use the Flow app.
Yeah,
I love that app.
Yeah, I love the MyFlow app. That one seems to be like the most accurate for me. There's also another one called Avia, which is really great too. They kind of send you like daily hormonal scopes, which is cute. So it'll tell you sort of like what to expect in your energy during that day and how you can kind of nurture yourself best. But yeah, like understanding your cycle if you're on hormonal birth control is nearly impossible because you're literally pumping yourself with unnecessary hormones that are totally synthetic. So it kind of like messes everything else up. And I understand that for like a lot of women, you know, we were given the pill so young. And it's just part of our like...
You weren't even having sex and you're on the pill.
Yeah, it's crazy how like, you know, accepted or pushed it is in our society, and coming off of it can be so scary.
I know. I think there's been a huge shift in the last year of a lot of people coming off of the pill. But I think for those who are still on it, it's really hard to track your cycle because every single month is different, or you just don't have a cycle, which is also, I think, really bad on the body because you're not releasing like any of that not dead normal. Blood.
It's just not normal at all. Totally. And I've also read crazy studies before too, where like a lot of these women are coming off the pill and then they'll like fall out of love with their boyfriend or something because their whole like biology changes because you're like not in your like natural state, and then you come back to your natural state and you're like, whoa, like I'm like not attracted to you anymore.
I know. That would be really scary. Yeah. I mean, I tried birth control once after college for 2 weeks, and it literally made me so crazy. My boyfriend at the time was like, if you don't get off birth control, I'm breaking up with you. Because I was already like really hormonal, and then that just like really put me over the edge.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I just knew right then and then, like, I'm not.
Yeah, I think it affects all of us like in that way, some more subtly and some more intensely. So again, this is a great resource to turn to if you are interested in coming off the pill. You can integrate off of it with cycle syncing so that you feel kind of stable throughout that transition.
I love that. So let's dive a little bit deeper into hormone health. Because for someone like me, I feel like I intermittent fasted for almost like a year. I loved it. I was the skinniest I've ever been. But I also was drinking caffeine on an empty stomach. And I feel like over the past year, I think this was like about 2 or 3 years ago when it was in like the height of building my business, I feel intuitively that kind of messed up my hormones a little bit.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
What are some of your tips or tricks for improving hormone health for, let's say, the person who's not on birth control or doesn't take any pharmaceutical drugs, but we still have like that hormone balancing that we need with nutrition if we're not maybe getting enough nutrition?
Totally. So like having hormonal irregulations is super common in our society, again, due to factors like our dirty water, toxins in the air, cleaning products, pesticides in our food, mold poisoning, too much caffeine on like an empty stomach and stuff as well. Like all kind of can mess with our hormones. That's why I became so passionate about making this my niche, is because there's so much contradictory information out there.
Totally.
And to your point of doing intermittent fasting, I'll just make it very clear that works really well for men or women post-menopause.
Yeah.
But for us women who are in our cyclical years, it's very important for us to understand that our body needs nutrition like first thing in the morning. So whenever you're reading new nutritional information out there, just go ahead and make sure that you get super clear on like what group these studies were done on. So that will help kind of give you more clarity around if this is going to be good for you at this phase of your life or not. And then as far as like rebalancing your hormones with a holistic approach, like cycle syncing is the answer.
Yeah.
So it comes back to, first of all, understanding what phase of your cycle you're in, and then doing the appropriate workouts for that, eating the appropriate food for that, and also nurturing like your brain in the right way. So I actually have a whole course online called Hormone Harmony that kind of dives into this in depth. It's a 28-day program. We learn about how to track our cycles like manually without an app. The apps are still great as well, though. We learn all of the foods that are great. I have a ton of recipes for each and every cycle that I give everybody. There's different workout plans, different like yoga styles and regimens for each and every phase, and just starting to do that is super helpful, and that will naturally help bring your fertility back. And like you said, it helps with like natural family planning too, so you don't really need to be on birth control. If you know exactly when you're in your ovulation phase, then you can kind of have, you know, your sexual relationships more confidently just by knowing where your body's at.
Totally. I will put your course in the show notes because the stuff you post on it looks so amazing. Also, in the past year, when I stopped intermittent fasting and I started eating breakfast within 30 minutes of waking up, it was so hard to break that, like, of not being hungry. Yeah. But the times when I do, I just feel so much more grounded and like balanced. Yeah. But I feel like skipping breakfast has become such a norm. Yeah. Which is, I think, the number one thing to throw your hormones off is if you skip breakfast as a female.
Yeah, and that's totally true. And a lot of us are in that habit of like not being hungry in the morning. I will admit that I'm one of them. So I'll just say, for anybody who feels like they can't stomach food that early, I would do like a greens shake or some sort of like protein shake or something like that. That's just kind of like drinkable, but you need to get something in your body to set your metabolism for the day.
Especially protein.
Yeah, just gonna say high protein.
Like high protein.
First thing in the morning, they say eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a servant, and dinner like a peasant.
Like a peasant. Yeah. I think so. We all do the opposite of that sometimes.
It's true. It's true. Totally. Totally. Yeah. So in my practice, like, it's been really hard for me to feel like there's like a one size fits all diet or approach out there. That's why I chose to get super niche down on serving particularly women. But I will say that, like, I feel like the one common factor between women who are in their cyclical years, women postmenopause, and men is the fact that all of our bodies are made up out of 80% water. And for me, helping my clients change the type of water that they drink, I feel like is like the common thread between them and their overall health and well-being.
I totally agree with that. We both drink the same water. I think the biggest eye-opening experience for me was when, you know how we go through our spiritual awakening at first? Whatever, we had that like a long time ago. But like realizing that they put fluoride in our water, I was like, oh no, this is not good. And then realizing all the microplastics on bottled water, I'm like, no, like I never got the bottled water thing. Like when people have like 500 cases.
Totally. I still see people doing it at Costco. They'll just be like loading up with bottles of water, and it's not only bad for your body, it's feeding you with microplastics, but you're literally contributing to so much plastic pollution on the planet on an annual basis. Like, it just breaks my heart. So any area that I can try to reduce the amount of plastic that I'm buying in my produce, and of course in my water as well too, I will do that without a doubt.
And I think drinking water that hydrates you on a cellular level is so not well known. Like when I tell people this, they're like, whoa, what does that mean? And it's like, it's better than electrolytes. It doesn't have the sugar in it. But like drinking water that actually hydrates you on a cellular level. Like my best friend, Tessa, I forgot what it's called, but there's this, I don't know if it's a symptom or a disease, but like, if any of you guys out there, like you're so thirsty and you drink so much water, but you never feel hydrated. That's how Tessa was before I got her drinking Kangen.
Okay, let's break that down for a sec, just so everybody understands here what exactly cellular hydration is. Basically, we all know that like water is composed of like H2O molecules, right? So the H2O molecules in most water are maybe like the size of like a tennis ball. So now imagine that you're standing in front of like a chain link fence and you are trying to throw the tennis balls through the chain link fence and they just bounce off the chain link fence, right? So that chain link fence is representative of our cell membrane. So the tennis ball sized H2O molecules cannot penetrate through the chain link fence cell membrane. Now with the Kangan Water, which is the machine made by Enagic that we know and love so much, has microclustered water. Now this means that those H2O molecules are super, super tiny. They are maybe more like the size of a BB gun. So if you drink the Kangen water, then you have BB gun sized H2O molecules going through your body, and those BB gun balls can totally penetrate through the chain link fence cell membrane. So you're really hydrating all of your cells on a cellular level that way, because you're absorbing more of the hydration that you are than from normal water, which you would kind of just pee through the other stuff.
Yes. So can you break down the process of how this machine breaks down the water through electrolysis so that it gets into those tiny and alkaline?
Yeah. Totally.
Like, I think the one reason why I love this water so much is that it's truly alkaline, because you can't bottle alkaline water. And I loved the study that I read. It's like juice. Like when you juice something, you can't just keep it in the fridge for like 2 weeks because it loses its alkaline. You kind of have to drink it within 2 to 4 days. Yeah. And that's kind of how this water is too, if you really want the benefits of like 9 or 7 pH and like truly cellular hydration.
Totally. Yeah, this is a great question, because I'm sure we're all aware of like the fad that alkaline water has taken out on the market. There is lots of bottled alkaline water out there, Essentia is a brand, and many others as well. And it's important, like, you guys, next time you go to the store, pick up an Essentia bottle, turn it around, look at the ingredients. You will see on the ingredients list that there is filtered water and sodium bicarbonate, which is basically just baking soda. Now, baking soda creates a chemical change in the water, making it alkaline. So if you add baking soda to water, it's just like science and it'll become alkaline, but it's not really truly what we like to call alkalized, because that's a chemical change making the water alkaline, whereas with the Kangen water machine you're getting a molecular change. So there's no added ingredients to it, you're just changing the molecular structure, making it alkaline. Your body is able to metabolize that much better and give you all of those benefits. I want to bring awareness to the fact that obviously being overly alkaline in our bodies, not the goal. You want to be at a neutral state. And yes, it is possible to be too alkaline. I feel like that's something that a lot of people worry about when drinking so much alkaline water. But our society and our world has like really acidic diets. So it's important to like kind of balance out those acidic diets with alkaline water so that you can find that state of neutrality again. There's these incredible studies done by a doctor that kind of showcase how diseases and cancers can only exist in an acidic state.
Totally.
So it's interesting because you don't want to be too alkaline, but still, even if you are too alkaline, you can't.
With the American diet, it'd be so hard to be like too alkaline, I think.
Yeah.
But I usually drink the 7 or the 9.
Yeah.
Do you ever switch down to lower?
To 7.0. Yeah. So 7.0 is like a neutral state. That's like where you would want your body to be at. And I think that it's super important to drink the 7.0 pH water if you're drinking water with your meals. You don't want to be drinking super alkaline water 30 minutes before or after a meal, because at that time you do want stomach acids in your tummy to help kind of break down your food. So I honestly would recommend just not drinking water at all during a meal. But if you must, I would recommend 7.0.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, Enagic, the Kangen machine was made in Japan, which is a blue zone, because they're just healthy and they live to be like 200 years old. I've been drinking this water, I think, for almost 8 or 10 years now. And I used to go to the water brewery and fill up all my water because they had very similar water that was, no fluoride in it, no additives. But after doing that for a year, I was like, I need my own machine.
It's so much easier.
It's so much easier. It's such a chore to go and lug gallons of water.
Yeah, and the Kangen machine's so cool because it's so like multifaceted as well. You don't only get drinking water out of it. You can wash your veggies with it as well. It's like serves as like an incredible pesticide remover too. You know, we were talking about earlier how the pesticides in our sprayed onto our crops and stuff do really affect our hormones and our gut microbiome and stuff. And the Kangen machine has this one feature where you can wash your vegetables in the 11.5 alkaline water. And this actually helps to break down the oil-based pesticides, removing them fully from the crop.
Yeah.
So this is way better for you because you're not going to be eating as many toxins on a weekly basis just by having this machine in your home. You can also use some of the like 2.5 solutions for cleaning around the house, and watering your plants and stuff too is amazing. They have a beauty water setting that's really good for your skin. So for me, having the machine in my house was like a game changer on so many levels beyond just having to drive to the water brewery. But yeah, that's nice too.
I know, me too. I mean, the veggies one, the washing the pesticides is my favorite. I've done so many and seen so many just TikTok reviews, and every time I do it too, I am just shook. It's like wild. With the strawberries and tomatoes, like so much stuff comes off of it.
Totally.
And I used to be the person that would just like be so hungry I wouldn't even wash my veggies. But like after seeing how much stuff came off with the 11.5, I was like, this is insane.
I know.
Okay. And I don't even like drinking water when I go to restaurants. Like I have to bring my own bottle.
I know.
I'm like,
we're officially water snobs, but it's fine.
I know,
because you know how good it makes you feel. And you guys, like, I travel a lot, and I usually travel with my Kangen machine, but I was in Europe, like I said, in Italy for the last like month, and I wasn't able to travel with my machine this time. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine. But like, oh my God,
did you really feel different?
I felt so sick by the end of the trip, honestly. Like just like at the end, like I started to feel so dehydrated, like exactly what you said about like Tessa. Like I was drinking all of this bottled water because it was like my only option, and I just didn't feel hydrated.
I know, especially after drinking years of Kangen.
Yeah.
Like that's why when me and Tessa went to Bali, we brought our machine, and it's amazing. And the reason why the machine is so cool is you have to get the double filter. So like the main filter filters out any of the stuff that's in our tap, which is heavy metals, chlorine, fluoride. That filter does like the heavy duty work, and then it goes through a second filter to make sure nothing's left behind. And then it goes through the electrolysis process, which breaks down the regular H2O molecules into like thousands of micro molecules. And it also adds electrolytes in it naturally.
Yeah, totally. So it helps with recovery and stuff too. Like I said, we're really big about our daily movement. If you're in the gym a lot and stuff as well, like drinking this water will like supplement Gatorades and all of that.
No, Gatorades. I don't really like the new electrolyte powders either. There's so much stuff in it.
It's just a lot of
also,
sugar.
I just heard recently that I believe the conspiracy theory that had a lot of scientific studies, and what's it called when you quote it, but that stevia actually causes infertility.
Wow.
Because stevia actually comes from a leaf from I don't know if I want to say Africa or something, and they would mix it, and I don't know if it's like part of this agenda to not like let people get fertile. But stevia came up really quick, and for a long time I was like, oh, okay, this is healthy. And then now that I'm trying to stay away with it, I noticed that it's in everything.
Wow.
Like the electrolyte powders. So I really try to stay away from stevia.
These herbs and like stevia is a plant. It's a natural plant, so that's why it's been so adorned by people in the health and wellness industries, because it has a natural source. But like even plants in herbalism are totally medicinal and do have effects like that. So stevia is something that has been known to cause infertility. It's actually something that can be given to women
so you'd known about this too?
Yeah, but it's just like about like the plant, like itself.
It's just the plant.
Like I've learned about
like
this in
ayahuasca.
herbalism.
Like that will make you high like if you eat that plant.
Right.
So
totally.
I have I haven't drank stevia in like a year. I've been really mindful, or like since I figured that out. Like,
well, on the note of fertility and healthy hormonal health, something that I would recommend to all women in their cyclical years is drinking red raspberry leaf tea. This is a great herb that helps to nourish your body, particularly when you're on your menstruation. I don't know if you get cramps a lot, but cramps are a sign of hormonal imbalance. We shouldn't really be getting too many cramps during our menstruation. So if you notice that you have heavy cramps, you can start to implement some cycle syncing and try drinking the red raspberry leaf tea, because that's been an incredible herb for helping to regulate a lot of this.
I will definitely add that in. It's so funny because I never cramped during my period except for the last 1 or 2 years after I stopped fasting. But it's also not that bad. Like,
yeah, some is normal.
Definitely, I'm like, oh, this is new.
Just try it, because like if you don't want to be in pain, of course, you can try a hot pad. But like I don't really like to take any like over-the-counter medications to kind of help ease that pain.
Me neither.
So try the red raspberry leaf tea.
Okay, I will for sure.
It's so good. It's so good. And I love mixing that too in with my Kangan water. It's so cool. Like when you brew your tea with your Kangan water, you can actually just use like cold Kangan water, and it really like brews the whole like cup of tea because of the microclusters and how potent and powerful like this water is. It just kind of extracts it all in a way where it doesn't even need to be affected by heat.
That was one of the main selling points of why I bought my machine. I'll put like 5 links in the show notes, you guys. If you're watching this, you can click the links and just watch the tutorials. I know I actually did one myself, but it's the perfect example of how cellular hydration really works, because you can take a boiling water of just regular sink water and put a tea bag in it, and then you can take cold Kangan water, and the cold Kangan water will be like totally color changed of dark of tea, while this one still probably takes like 5 minutes to brew.
Totally.
That was when I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Because normally if you put a tea bag in cold water, like it won't do anything.
Yeah, it's wild. And this rule also pans out to like the supplements that you take and the protein powders that you take and stuff as well, you guys. Like when you're mixing the Kangen water with your protein powder or your daily supplements or your herbs, like you're actually kind of prolonging the benefits of it rather than diluting the benefits of it. So it like expands it, best said.
When did you get your machine?
I have been drinking the Kangan water for about 5 years now. I discovered this water when my mom was healing from stage 3 breast cancer. That was such a gnarly experience, you guys. That's kind of the turning point for me, where I really understood that like healthy doesn't equal skinny.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, what kind of like got me started on my health and wellness journey was like wanting to fit a certain size, and I jumped through crazy lengths and diets in order to like be a certain size, and I thought that that was the shining example of health. And then here was my beautiful mother, a very fit individual who got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And it was in that moment that I was like, oh my God, like it's not all about how you look. It's about the health of your inner organs.
And the nutrition.
Totally. So I went down the rabbit hole through that journey. She was working with an integrative medicine doctor at the time. Do you know what integrative medicine is?
I think I do. It's kind of like herbalism.
Yeah, it's both. It's both like Western and Eastern practices. So they integrate like Western medicine, which helped her try to heal her cancer through more traditional ways like chemo and radiation and these really like harsh approaches, in my opinion. And then they also implemented like a holistic healing approach as well on the other side to kind of help rebalance and her body after these harsh chemo and radiation treatments. So she went through with chemo and radiation first, and then after that started implementing different like holistic healing practices to bring her body back to a state of balance. Because if you guys know anybody who's ever been through chemo and radiation before, you know that it kills all of the good and bad cells in your body. So she was seeing a doctor named Dr. Saram, who's based in Beverly Hills, and he recommended that she starts drinking this water to help replenish all of the healthy cells in her body and build back her cellular health. And at that time I knew nothing about like water health at all. And I was like, water's just water, right? You know,
water is not just water.
Now we know, you guys, because I mean, like, my mom looked so depleted after these treatments. Like, the color in her skin and like her lips was gone, her eyes, like, it's just like kind of, she just seemed like a raisin. It was so sad.
Yeah.
And then she started drinking this water, and I literally felt like I watched like her like life force energy come back. Like, her prana was like alive again. Her lips got like pink and her eyes had like a glisten in them. And I was like, whoa, like I felt this water change her. And it really helped her joints on a physical level as well too. She was able to like walk a lot easier, and it just did so many benefits for her. And I saw it happen like in front of me within a span of like 2 weeks. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. And I just started diving into all of the research and data around what this water does for one's body. And I was mind blown. I've never stopped drinking it since.
I know. My grandma helped raise me, and she was like my best friend. But I watched the American diet and the pharmaceutical industry literally kill her. She deteriorated in front of my eyes. She died at 63. And she was just taking like 10 pills. And that's when I promised myself, like, I'm never going to take a pharmaceutical drug if I don't have to, because Western medicine does come in handy for like surgeries, but like, no, I don't even like Tylenol or Advil. But yeah, after I got this machine for myself and at my warehouse, I got one for my grandpa. I just put it in his house. He'll just drink out the hose and think it's ice. And I'm like, no, don't do that. So I had to get one for him too, just because, you know, I just need him to live a long time. Because it's such an investment too. I mean, depending how bougie you are with your water, or if you get like sparklets delivered, you're still spending maybe $20 a week up to like $300 a month.
Totally.
This, you don't have to ever, I mean, once a year filter change, which is $99.
Yeah, it's like
which is once a year. Which
totally, it pays itself out in the long run for sure. And you brought up such a good point. If you're already spending money on bottled water or water delivery or something like that, then you're probably like surpassing the cost of like the monthly payment plans just to even have the machine. So it was like such a no-brainer for me and most of my clients.
I agree, and I also think with all the weird stuff happening right now, it's such an asset to just have a fresh source of water in your house that you can just even jug up, and maybe in a couple months it won't keep its alkaline, but it will still be very filtered, as opposing to like running out of bottled water.
Totally.
Or I mean, tap water really scares me these days, because I just feel like they're spraying stuff in the air. They're putting fluoride in our tap water, which calcifies your pineal gland, and I'm just like, no, I can't.
And so many more things too.
I know,
like so many more things. It's really crazy, and I feel like that's the kind of information that's like typically tried to keep a little bit more under the radar. But if you go down the rabbit holes like we do, you can see all of the facts that are so there. And it's really important, I think, to bring this knowledge up to the surface, you know, and try to help protect your neighbors as much as you can, the Native like Americans on these lands too. You know, it's so sad. I know some Native American tribes out in Arizona, and their water is being totally polluted with like arsenic, which is like a poison they give to chickens, and they don't even have clean water sources there. So it's been one of my like missions within this work is to help bring clean water to the whole world in whatever capacity that we can. So I'm actually currently doing a fundraiser as well for this Native American tribe to help clean out their water systems and stuff too. So we can link that in the show notes as well. And if you guys are interested in donating to the cause or getting cleaner water in your own life, we can definitely make that happen. It's so essential.
That's amazing. I'll definitely share it in my next newsletters and on social media. Are you trying to get them a few machines in their community? Yeah. I mean, one Kangen machine could essentially serve a whole community. Yeah. Like the water brewery probably has like, you know, big ones, and you just come and fill it up. I know a lot of my friends will come to my warehouse as well and just fill up their jugs. And I'm like, of course. We got to share the goods with the rest of the world. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's for the Hopi Nation tribe. So as much help as we can do.
I love that. Let's get them a few machines.
Let's do it.
These machines do cost a lot. They're a couple $1,000s, but in the grand scheme of things, like I feel like if you're going to be spending so much time on, you know, workout classes, like I had an Equinox membership at one point, and if you're going to spend like $300 at Erewhon or Whole Foods trying to just eat the most holistic, organic foods, and you're going to buy all the supplements. Like, some of the supplements I don't even think go through the testing that they need to go through.
Right.
But if you're going to be spending all of this money on your health and your wellness, you have to take your water into consideration.
Totally.
Like, it has to be the top 3. Like, what kind of water am I drinking? What am I putting in my water? And what is the quality of the water I am drinking? Because if it's not up to our standards, like my bougie standards of water, no, I'm just kidding, then really is the nutrition and all the other stuff you're doing like that beneficial, or are you just kind of scratching the surface to what you could be absorbing?
Totally. I mean, I think that you're just kind of scratching the surface at that point, and all of us drink water on a daily basis. So it's one of the simplest things that you can do as well in order to kind of get your health and wellness like regulated and flowing.
What is your opinion on refrigerator water?
Well, it's dependent on like each and every refrigerator. They all kind of have like different filters inside of them, but I would compare it more to like a Brita filter, which is kind of just like taking out like extra sediment, maybe chlorine from the water, but it's again not removing fluoride, not removing arsenic and a lot of the other common toxins and pollutants in like our common tap water. So something that I think is important to understand here is that the Kangan water machine is not a water filter, it's a water ionizer. So you mentioned you want to get those 2 parts. The first part is the water filter. So maybe like that's kind of more equivalent to like what the fridge water filter is doing. But then you're putting this water ionizer on top of it. And that's what really creates what we call living water. So this is taking the water through a process called electrolysis, giving it an electrical charge, and feeding us with those like superhuman benefits that we feel when we drink this water. It's alive the same way that like an apple is alive, you know? There's tons of rich antioxidants in this water because of the process of electrolysis that it goes through. This water was naturally discovered in the mountains of Japan on an island called Okinawa, which is one of the largest blue zones in the world, as we mentioned earlier. They found this water and they called it like magical healing water because it healed some people in their communities from chronic illnesses and diseases that they didn't see another solution for. So scientists started testing this water and realizing all of its benefits that it has. Now, this water is like naturally occurring in nature. It comes from like spring water that's like running down like a riverbed. And it's not necessarily the spring water itself, but it's the journey that the spring water goes on. As it's like running down the riverbed, the water runs over these rocks, and the rocks, like the friction of the water running over the rocks shock the water, giving it an electrical charge and fusing it with natural ions and minerals from the water. That's what creates this living water here. So the Kangen machine itself has kind of been mimicked after that model. There are titanium and platinum dipped plates on the inside of the machine, and the water runs over those plates, again, shocking the water, giving it that electrical charge and supercharging us up with more energy, better sleep, deeper hydration, and all of the good things that we know and love it for.
I love that you shared that background story. I just feel like Japan has always fascinated me about how long they live and how healthy they are.
Totally. Another one of their big superfoods is sweet potatoes too.
Yeah,
you guys.
the purple ones.
It's so good. It's so good. If you guys see Japanese sweet potatoes in the market ever, I only see them every now and then, but they are incredible. And I think one of the staples of making it a blue zone as well, next to the water.
I love that. Me and Frankie became such good friends because we both are so passionate about this water. And it's kind of rare to see people talk about this water, although I do see a lot more people coming into the fact of that. So if anyone listening is interested in learning more about the water or wants to know where you can get one, payment plans are as low as like $30 a month. But unless you have anything else to add on the water, do you want to jump into some mindfulness?
Yeah, let's do it. I think I feel pretty complete on all that we shared about the liquid hydration in our life.
The magical healing non-fluoride water.
Yeah, so
that's how I'm going to live to be 120.
Stay hydrated. Take a sip of water right here, right now, everybody. Yeah. Come on, let's do it.
Let me have some.
Cheers,
this is
baby.
9.5. Cheers. Ding. Take this everywhere. It's so funny. Like, I have so many of these water bottles. I feel naked going anywhere. I feel like everyone does at this point, but it's like I can't go anywhere without it.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I probably drink about like maybe anywhere between half a gallon to a gallon of water a day. And that was absolutely not the case before I started drinking Kangan water because it was a lot harder to drink.
I know. And the bottles, because you just, when you have a bottled water, you're like, okay, I want to make this last all day.
Yeah.
Wasteful, microplastics. Okay, let's jump into mindfulness. I feel like recently
So important.
it's so important. It goes hand in hand with nutrition. Lately, this past year, I think since COVID, everyone kind of did a little like reset or kind of, you know.
Yeah, it was a great time to kind of like go inward. I feel like it brought up a lot of introspection for people. That was one of the positivities that I saw throughout the pandemic is people kind of took more time to get in touch with their inner selves. I know I did for sure.
Yeah.
What is like one of your favorite mindfulness practices that you feel like has the most effect on your life?
Journaling, hands down. Like, I have to write my thoughts. I have to script. And for me, it's so funny because it's not the act of like writing it nice and pretty and like I'm going to come back and revert to it. It's the act of like my thoughts have to go pen and paper. And even when I journal, I write in cursive and no one else would be able to read this besides me. And sometimes I go back, I can't even read my own handwriting. But it's the act of putting pen to paper that has transformed my life the most significantly.
I love that so much. It's definitely been a really important practice of mine as well. And I honestly go through times of being like more tapped into writing in my journal and then not. And I notice a difference in my life. Like what I write down happens.
For sure.
It actualizes.
And I've tried doing other techniques like where you video yourself, you talking to yourself.
Interesting.
I just saw that on TikTok recently and I tried it and I'm like, I don't know, I'm probably never going to watch the video again. So journaling, scripting, writing out my prayers to God and really journaling how I want my life to be. Recently, I've been into the law of assumption. I've been going through some relationship stuff. So I've been really seeing in like the 3D how my assumptions come to life if I assume something of someone or something of myself. And so like changing that and scripting and writing it down of just how grateful I am, like pretty quickly changes my current state of mind.
Totally. Can you just like break down exactly what the difference is between like the law of assumption and the law of attraction?
So the law of assumption is what you assume to be true will be true. And that goes for other people too. So like if I assume my significant other is going to do this, like I might manifest that. And I noticed that when I assume them to just be this amazing lover who adores me, they show up for me like that too. And so it comes back to self as well. Like how much am I loving myself? Because then that's how much they're going to love me. So everything kind of comes back to self. Whereas the law of attraction is not chasing, right? And just waiting and having that belief that you're going to attract the things that you want to manifest into your life without forcing, without that resistance or that persistence or like everything has to be a fight. It's like also like there's the law of least effort, you know, like stop trying so hard.
Right.
The law of assumption lately has been really interesting to me because sometimes we have those doubts or we assume things when our relationships aren't going the best. And it's like, that's not even true. Right. And why are you even putting that out there?
Totally.
And I've really recognized, I've seen how it works backhanded and front-handed. And so it's really coming back to self again and being like, okay, I am the operant power of my reality. No one else really matters. If something's showing up how I don't like it, that's the old story playing out. And I just need to accept it and continue to change my story.
Totally. That's really well said, honestly. And it kind of, you know, the whole like manifestations took a lot of popularity over the last few years and stuff. And I think it's important to like note that like there still has to be actions taken when you want to actualize a manifestation. And it goes so much deeper than just like thinking it, you know, where I'm personally very into my words of affirmation. I feel like that kind of helps set me on a good tone for the day and stuff. But I realized that I have to take it deeper than just thinking it and saying it. Like you got to feel it truly.
Then
it shall be.
And agree.
kind of links to the assumption though, because like I feel like an assumption is when you really feel something in your core deeper than just like it being a thought.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's where meditation has been helping me too. Breath work and meditation, I need to be more disciplined on. But when I do it, I'm like, woo, I'm so magnetic. But then like a few days go by and I don't do it. And I'm like, okay, I gotta really get back to this. So like my perfect morning routine would be wake up, get dressed, make the bed, do a 10-minute scripting, do my affirmations, do a 10-minute meditation, and then a 10-minute breath work. And I just feel like my day's going to be perfect.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love that combination that you said of doing like prayer and then meditation. I think this is like so important to kind of do hand in hand, because I first like get really into my prayer with God, and I ask for guidance and what I want to receive in life. And then in meditation, I find that silence and that stillness in order to like receive the answers from the divine for me. So it's like in that stillness, like I understand like how to move forward with the things that I may be praying about.
I totally agree. And one thing I just started doing is realizing that like guided meditations aren't really meditations. It's really sitting in that silence. And I still do guided meditations sometimes because I just need it.
Yeah.
But let's go through your meditation, because like ideally if you could sit still for 10 minutes, or 15 minutes or more, like I find that so hard for me sometimes, but I've been really trying to steer away from not doing a guided meditation and really learning how to sit in that silence and let my thoughts come without trying to talk back to them.
Totally. Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought this up. I stopped doing guided meditations, honestly, many years ago. Sure, maybe here and there I will, but I feel like a guided meditation is kind of more of just like having like positive affirmations in the back,
like relaxation.
Running. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's good for like when you're going to sleep or something, but on a daily basis, finding like a quiet place to like sit and try to come to what I call the no mind has been so beneficial for my life and my ADHD. I don't know if you ever experience ADD brain.
Oh my God, girl, every day. That's another thing I've been trying not to do is I'm trying not to label myself or associate myself with like, I'm an anxious attachment and I have ADHD. Right. But I totally am self-aware that I have those things, but I've also been trying to be like,
that is very, very wise of you. These things do not define us. They're just like a part of us, you know? And I was on Adderall for so many years from a young age. That's part of what, led me down this like toxic path and the whole diet culture. I started to abuse that in order to get better grades and to like eat less and stuff. And it was awful, you guys. I felt like I was on like this intense like medicine that felt like crack cocaine. It was so awful. But again, I was so young and didn't really know. I was just listening to what the doctors told me. But in choosing to go down a more holistic path and wanting to get more into plant medicines and nutrition and all the things, I chose that. And I came to the fact that I have to flush my Adderall down the toilet.
Totally.
And I did one day.
I'm so glad you did.
Yeah.
God, how was that detox?
Well, it was fine because I piggybacked it with meditation. So like meditation for me is like the holistic Adderall, because your brain is like a muscle. So you guys can literally train your brain to focus better on things. And it comes down to exactly what you said with doing those non-guided, no mind meditations.
Yeah, I got to be a little bit more disciplined because I just started doing them again consistently. And if I miss a day or two, I feel like...
Totally.
Yeah.
You can feel it. But that's powerful though, that you can feel it. Like, the benefits of it and stuff. So you guys, it's really hard to do no mind meditations, but it's like practice makes the master. And so I just ask yourself to commit to doing it for 5-10 minutes a day if you're new at this. And don't think that you're never gonna have a thought. I still have thoughts in my no mind meditations, and all I want you to do is label your thought. So you're meditating, you're thinking about nothing, you'll find that place of stillness, and then maybe a thought comes through about what you're going to eat for breakfast. Just label that thought. Say, having a thought about what I'm going to eat for breakfast, and imagine that thought like it's on a cloud, just like drifting past your mind and going away back into the ethers.
I love that.
And then come back to that place of stillness. And another thought might come up again, but just let it drift away like a cloud.
Yeah, you don't have to like argue with your thoughts.
No.
Or talk back. You don't got to talk back. No. Just acknowledge it. That's the perfect. Acknowledge
it and let it go. There's nothing wrong with having these thoughts either. It's just slowing down and acknowledging them and letting them go. And it's so powerful, you guys. Like once you get to this place of like no mind meditation, I feel like my brain is growing. Like,
oh my God, I love that. And do you ever get like little downloads or like messages from God? Like, this is what you should do.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying in earlier is like, I was like, I pray first and then I meditate. And sometimes these messages like will come through to me. And so I'll even keep my journal in front of me too. Like if I have to like write down like whatever download came through, I will. It's fine. And then you just get right back into it, you know, and go back to like the no mind. But there's nothing wrong with having these messages come through or these thoughts go by. But you can really start to feel your brain like waves changing. For me, it almost feels like a heartbeat or like a pulse in my mind. And each and every day that I show up on my meditation cushion, I'm able to go longer periods of time in the no mind space, and it feels so good. I directly feel that affect the ADD brain like that day. It's like a dose of Adderall.
I love that. I do too. I'm gonna make that my goal for the next 2 months is to go like 30 minutes. Yep. Lately, I've just been doing 15 to 20.
Yeah, try it. Just try it. And like it might be tough, but it's fine. Just sit there and do it. You got this. I love using the app called Insight Timer.
Okay.
It's the best.
I think I have that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've used it.
It's so nice. Like they have a lot of guided meditations on there as well, but I just like love their timer feature that they have because it'll like play a gong bell and then you can choose some like music in the background, or you can also choose no music, and then it'll end with like another gong. So it's better than setting an alarm in my opinion, because that is, well, alarming. So try out Insight Timer.
You think a little background music isn't horrible?
No, not at all. I actually prefer to meditate with some sort of background music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Another thing that's nice is you can also do like seated meditation with your eyes open, and you light a candle in front of you and you just kind of meditate on the flame. Mm-hmm. So you just are staring at the candle flame, and it's kind of nice sometimes for people who maybe do have a little bit more of an ADD brain to have something to like focus on. And the fire is like so mesmerizing. So you just stare at that candle. You can spend your whole 30 minutes just trying to do no mind meditation, staring at the candle.
Yes, I love that. It's been a while since I've done one of those, but those really do work.
Yeah.
And you start like...
It's been a while for me too. Let's do it this week.
I know. I think I'm going to do it this night. I just got a new candle too. Oops. I love candles.
Perfect.
Any other mindfulness tips? I mean, I think those are like the main ones.
Yeah. It's just, those are the main ones. I think that more than anything, also just like coming back to, the positive thoughts in your head, you guys. Like, you are literally capable of anything that you set your mind to, and whatever programming you're like running in your head on a daily basis, your body and your life is going to like start to attract that. So whatever you need to do to like get those thoughts chasing high vibes, you know, just like keep the vibrations high and like watch your life transform from that.
For me, I've been doing like these manifestation walks where I'll take a walk, but I won't listen to music or a podcast. So that's been a way to just kind of be silent. And I'll also repeat my affirmations out loud while I'm walking, or like talking to myself as if I'm already where I want to be.
Yeah, I love that. I just want to acknowledge that that totally is a meditation in and of itself. It's a moving meditation practice, you know, like maybe not everybody here like sits and meditates, but I think that you can find meditation in your life one way or another. Another great one is surfing. Yeah,
I know. Surfing is huge for me. I still get crazy thoughts when I'm out there, but I've just been like making surfing a meditation too. I think for a lot of people and a lot of us, like we're so used to like, we got to be productive. I got to listen to a podcast. I got to listen to an audio book. I got to listen to something. I got to listen to something. So just the act of going on a walk and not listening to something, it's kind of weird. Totally. But then you just like talking to yourself. You're just like,
yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's a great way to kind of even close out all of this, is just like bringing us back to being more of a human beings rather than human doings.
Yes.
Our society's so focused on this go, go, go culture, and my life radically transformed once I started to appreciate more slow living.
Yeah, I agree. That's just like the law of attraction. Kind of stop forcing everything and just let things flow.
Let it happen, baby.
I am so excited to have you on this podcast. I love and appreciate you so much. I think I learned a lot as well. I'm going to put so many good things in the show notes. I know those are one of my favorite things. So if there's anything you guys want to learn more on, I would go there. And be sure to follow Frankie on her Instagram. She has 2 accounts. They're so aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to link her below as well. And I thank you guys for being here. And I hope to see you on the next one.
Much love.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, Bella.
And cut.